I want to start this without pretending. I don't always know what I'm doing. I act like I do. I say I've got a plan. But the truth? Most of the time, I'm just trying to figure it out as I go. I make lists. I calculate. I guess. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And deep down, I know what I'm really craving. It's not just answers. It's direction. Real direction. Not from my fears. Not from pressure. But from you. And I know. You've always been willing to guide. You've never been distant. But I haven't always been good at listening. I fill the silence with distractions. I chase quick clarity instead of quiet trust. I ask for signs, then second guess them. I start with you, and then drift back into autopilot. So here I am again, not trying to impress you, not trying to convince you of anything, just being honest. I need you. I need your voice, not just on the big stuff, not just when I'm desperate or cornered, but in all of it. I want to embrace your guidance in every part of my life, even the parts I've tried to control, hide, or manage on my own. In the way I make decisions, in how I talk to people, in the way I show up to work, to family, to friendships, in how I handle money, in how I process pain, in what I say yes to, in what I need to walk away from. I don't want to separate faith from life anymore. I don't want to treat you like a backup plan. I want your guidance to shape all of me, not just the spiritual part, but the messy, complicated, everyday version of me. And maybe the first step is this: admitting I've been afraid to let go. Because trusting you with everything means giving up some control. And if I'm honest, that's hard. I like feeling like I've got a handle on things. But when I'm alone with my thoughts, I know I don't. There are questions I can't answer. Feelings I don't know how to carry. Decisions that feel too big, too blurry, too risky. That's why I'm asking, will you show me how to let you in? Into the practical things. Into the small, everyday choices that stack up into a life. Not just in moments of crisis. Not just when I've hit the wall. But in the quiet. In the simple. In the pause between one step and the next. I want to hear you in the stillness. Not always in fireworks or signs, but in peace. That slow, quiet sense of, this is the way. Walk in it. Teach me to recognize that feeling, that subtle nudge, that check in my spirit, that breath of clarity that wasn't from me. Because the more I ignore it, the more lost I feel. And the more I listen, the more alive I feel. So help me lean in. God, sometimes I wish you'd just send a message in the sky. Something big, clear, bold, something I can't miss. Because honestly, it's hard to know what's from you and what's just my own hopes, fears, or thoughts bouncing around in my head. I ask for signs. I wait for a feeling. I look for open doors. But even when the path seems clear, I still question myself. What if I'm wrong? What if I mess it up? What if I take the wrong turn and waste time I can't get back? And yet, maybe the point isn't getting it perfect. Maybe the point is learning to walk with you. Even when I'm unsure. Even when I feel like I'm stepping out onto nothing. Maybe faith isn't always about certainty. Maybe it's about choosing you in the middle of uncertainty. So today, I want to practice that. Not perfect trust, just real trust. Honest trust. The kind that says, I don't know what's coming, but I know you're coming with me. The kind that says, this might not make sense on paper, but there's peace here, and I'm following it. The kind that's okay with not seeing the whole map, just taking the next right step. Because you've been faithful before, even when I didn't realize it at the time. Even when I pushed you away, Even when I made choices that weren't great, you didn't disappear. And that matters. Because if you didn't leave me then, I can trust you now. I'm learning to ask better questions. Not just, is this the right decision? But, who am I becoming as I make it? Am I staying close to you through this? Am I moving in love, in peace, in courage, or just reacting in fear? God, I want to grow into someone who trusts you more than their own timeline. Someone who can move without having every answer. Someone who can stay still without feeling stuck. Someone who doesn't need the outcome to feel okay about the choice. Let your guidance shape how I plan, how I rest, how I work, how I wait. Because real guidance isn't just about directions. It's about relationship. It's about walking with someone who knows me better than I know myself. So I'll keep asking for wisdom. But I won't demand certainty. I'll keep listening. But I won't rush the process. Because I believe you speak. Sometimes through silence. Sometimes through peace. Sometimes through closed doors. Sometimes through people. And sometimes through a quiet sense that I'm not alone. Help me hear you. Not just with my ears, but with my spirit. When I don't hear anything right away, help me wait well. Help me stay soft. Help me stay open. I trust you to guide me, not always with ease, but with purpose. And I want to live from that purpose, even if the road is slow. God, sometimes I catch myself treating you like you only belong in big moments, major decisions, life-altering events. But most of life isn't made of those. Most of life is made of mornings, commutes, deadlines, grocery lists, conversations, small tensions, quiet thoughts. And honestly, I've lived too many of those moments without you. Not because I wanted distance, but because I didn't think they mattered enough to involve you. But I'm learning something. You're not looking for a role in the highlights. You want to walk with me in the middle of it all. In how I answer a text. In the way I handle a mistake. In how I speak when I'm tired. In how I treat people when no one's watching. These things shape my life. And they reveal whether I'm walking through it with you or just surviving on autopilot. So today, I'm asking for something simple and deep. Let me feel your guidance in the ordinary. Show me what it means to talk to you while I'm making coffee. To listen for you when I'm choosing how to respond to someone who frustrates me. To pause and check in with you before I overthink another decision. I don't want my relationship with you to live only in quiet time journals or moments of desperation. I want it to live in my tone of voice, in my schedule, in my goals, in my thought patterns. Let your guidance be part of how I budget my money, how I care for my body, how I use my phone, how I use my words. Not in a heavy, guilt-driven way, but in a freeing, grounding, purpose-filled way. Because I don't just want to be spiritual in my quiet moments. I want to be whole. So help me not separate my life into spiritual and non-spiritual. Help me stop treating prayer like a thing I do, and more like a thread that runs through everything. Help me practice asking you questions like, is this healthy for me? Am I avoiding something right now? Is this how I want to show up in the world? What do you see that I'm not seeing? Because those small questions, they change everything. Let me be someone who slows down just enough to listen, even in the busy, even in the noise. Let me carry your presence into places that don't feel spiritual at all, into emails, into traffic, into conversations I'm dreading, into workouts and lunch breaks and awkward meetings, into all of it. And maybe that's what real guidance is. Not a voice from the clouds, but a quiet alignment that helps me live on purpose. So lead me through the small. because I believe you're there, even in the mundane, even in the unremarkable, maybe especially there. God, I don't want this to be just another moment that feels good and fades. I want this to shape how I live, not just how I pray, how I show up, everywhere, with everyone. Let me become someone who walks with you, not just believes in you. Someone who doesn't panic at the unknown. Someone who can sit in the waiting without collapsing. Someone who moves forward even when the plan isn't perfect. Because I'm learning that your guidance doesn't always look like a clear answer. Sometimes it's just peace in the middle of confusion. Sometimes it's a quiet, not yet. Sometimes it's a deep knowing that I'm not alone, even when I don't know what's next. I don't want to keep chasing clarity if it costs me connection with you. I don't want to force answers if it pulls me away from trust. So I'm laying down my need to control, to always know, to be sure before I move. And I'm picking up something better. Faithful prayer. Not the kind that begs for an instant solution, but the kind that builds something lasting. The kind that helps me stay rooted when everything around me feels uncertain. God, I want to live guided. In the way I think, in the way I speak, in the way I lead, in the way I love. Let guidance be less about where I go and more about how I go. I want to move through the world with calm in my chest and clarity in my steps. Not because I figured everything out, but because I've handed it to you. And if the road looks different than I pictured, help me trust you anyway. If the plan shifts suddenly, remind me that you're not surprised. If I start to feel lost again, pull me back gently. You're the only one who sees the whole picture, so I don't need to. I just need to stay close. Let my life be built around your presence, not my pressure. Let my peace come from staying near you, not being perfect. Let my strength come from trust, not performance. Let my direction come from prayer, not panic. I'll keep bringing you the questions. I'll keep checking in with you. I'll keep making space for you to speak, even when all I hear is stillness. Because I know you guide. I know you care about every detail. I know you're already in the next step, waiting for me. So I choose to follow, even if it's slower than I'd like, even if it's not flashy or dramatic, even if no one else understands it. This is where I want to live, in step with you, in sync with peace, in rhythm with grace. And I know that if I stay close, I'll always be going the right way, even if the map looks nothing like I expected. Amen.